Welcome to Tea with Toks and Tomi, where we're sharing our life lessons.
So sharing life lessons.
Yes.
Okay. What are you learning this time?
What am I learning this time?
This season?
Ooh, okay. One big one I'm learning is everything takes longer than you think.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
As they say, loud it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say this one because I can feel some people literally leaving the room.
They're like, that's it.
Nope.
Next podcast.
Yeah. So this is me telling you it's going to take longer. If you plan for it to take a year, it might be 5.
Very encouraging.
And it's a good thing. You know, so, and again, when you look back, and I think once in a while we should all do that, like it should be an exercise, just take a look back at the journey. It's going to take longer, but some of the things that will make it bearable as you go through this long, unexpected twists and turns is focus on the goal. And the goal here is just to please God.
That's right.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
To live His will. And enjoy the journey.
The journey,
You have to be so intentional about enjoying this. Whatever it is you can do to enjoy, do it.
Right.
Do it. But it's going to take longer, and you need to have that in mind.
Yeah. And it's okay if it takes
No,
longer.
it's, if you know that it's going to take longer, then when you are going through the journey and it's taking longer, you're not going to feel like, oh, I need to bypass this. You're not going to try to look for shortcuts, which is what we all do. You're not going to compare your journey with somebody else's, because guess what? It took longer for them too, but they only put it in a 2-minute reel.
That is very, very true. Very true.
Yeah, yes. You're going to be intentional about enjoying the process.
Totally love that.
That is what I am learning now.
That's it's a bit of one of those lessons that just makes you sigh in relief. Like, well, God's got me. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's going a bit longer. Yeah. And you?
What am I learning? I'm learning currently about abundance.
Right.
So I was recently on the Amalfi Coast with a group of 8 of us girlfriends. We went for my friend Shade's birthday, and it was absolutely amazing. So let's start. There's 2 lessons in this actually. So the first one is you have absolutely no idea how God is going to work out a situation. You can imagine it as much as you want to, but the final outcome is always going to be different from
absolutely. That's a lesson I'm learning too.
Also also the way in which God makes it happen. So there's a saying I quote often on my podcast, which is, be resolute in your vision, but be flexible in how it comes together.
Right.
Because God doesn't have a bucket load of pre-created solutions, templates. That He goes, okay, for this problem, let me pull out problem 196. There's a template for that. He literally creates solutions as He goes along.
Right.
And I think about the children of Israel and how when they had all those multiple wars, God gave them different strategies each time. You know, so I mean, I've heard of people who pick one strategy, like the wall of Jericho, for example, and march around banks and things 7 times. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that God has multiple ways of making things happen. So how that relates to my trip was, on the trip I knew 3 of the girls I knew, and the other 4 I didn't know. I had never met them. And I was dealing with a lot, before we left, a lot of work stuff, a lot of home stuff, taking up my time and energy. I'm very, very busy. And I could tell, I started to have these thoughts that this trip is not going to be one where I can chill, because it's a group of 8 women. My friend is a serious planner. Like, she planned everything down to the T, the timing and everything. But my real concern was just being in a space with women I didn't know, and how sometimes, you hear stories of these girl trips, and it's not my first time going on a girl trip. We've been on about 2 previous ones with different sets of ladies, and it's always been great. I don't know why this particular time. But anyway, so I had in my head an idea of how I thought it was going to go, and I prepared my response to that way of doing things. So by the time I arrived, I was arriving with a mindset that was not needed. That was based purely on fiction and imagination. And I get there, and the women, oh my goodness, absolutely amazing. Just such wonderful, warm, normal people. There were no aliens there, nothing. It was just wonderful, great company. The conversations we had were deep and wise and loving. It was such a blessing to me. So that showed me that as much as my imagination is wild as my imagination is, and the fact that yes, I'm connected to God, therefore that makes me limitless. My imagination is limited because it's limited in its conception of what's possible.
Absolutely.
Because it only conceives that which has happened before, that which we've heard about. And the imagination gets to a point where it no longer can grow. It gets to a dead end, and that's when God takes over. Which is why the Bible says that no eye has seen, no mind can conceive, because we cannot conceive beyond a certain point, because God steps in there. So that was one lesson. The second one was on abundance, and this was one particular morning. I came downstairs early because I'm an early riser, and I really love to spend my me time alone. So I could go downstairs to the living room, and there's this cute little nook. I mean, the nook where there were 2 sofas opposite each other. So I'm sitting there with my journal, and my worship music is playing on my phone. And I look around me. I don't know if every house in Positano, which is the town we're in, is like that, but it's a riot of colors. Lilac, green, yellow, blue, fuchsia, everything, pink, and all over. The curtains are lilac. The table is green. The chandelier is aqua. The floor tiles are a mix of different colors. The chair I'm sitting on is green. The cushions on the chair had like 5 stripes of fuchsia, yellow, green, pink, and everywhere was just rich with color. And I thought, this is a blessing, to be able to see and enjoy, to be surrounded by so much color. It's a blessing. Because we go through life and we don't stop to smell the roses. We don't realize just how abundantly blessed we are, because we are in a society that only considers abundance in material terms. But having relationships with wonderful people is abundance. Being able to see, I always talk about being able to see in 3-dimensional, because there's a movie, I think it was Good Will Hunting, where there was I'm not sure if it was that movie, but this guy who had been blind for years, or maybe since birth, finally gets some breakthrough scientific treatment, and he starts to see. So they show him a picture of an apple, and they say, what's that? And he says it's an apple. But they realize that he couldn't tell the difference between an apple and a real apple and a picture of an apple, because he couldn't see dimension. He could only see, everything was single dimension. And I thought, what a blessing that we can see nooks and corners, we can see leaves and stuff, So just the thoughts of that God created, and even when he created Adam and Eve, it says that he gave them in the garden, he placed fruit for food and fruit to look at and enjoy. So we are surrounded by abundance, and we need to stop and recognize that and enjoy it.
And enjoy it. It's the intentionality, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Amazing. Great lessons.
Great lessons.
We're getting wiser.
Yeah.